Today, we're putting brokerages head to head, really specifically as it relates to commission splits. To answer that question of who ultimately pays the most, and the answer to that question isn't going to be quite as simple as you think. Now, if you're brand new to real estate, this episode today is going to be eye-opening, but if you already are somebody with a brokerage, you might just be reconsidering, rethinking where you're at, and you want to understand what else is out there. We'll be breaking down the different structures today live on the screen and giving you really a better idea of what format, what brokerage is going to be the best fit for you. But really what it comes down to is your personal plan, your personal goals, and understanding that and which brokerage is going to help you meet and achieve those goals. So let's head over to the board and get right to it. So commission splits, you could think of these as a spectrum. In theory, there could be essentially 0%. That really wouldn't be a commission split, but it is kind of the commission split whenever you give business away, whenever you don't end up with anything. So 0% is going to be a very real number that we break down today, and really how to avoid having 0% overall. But at the end of the day, you could get all the way up to 100%, and some brokers will even argue more than 100%. And the way that you get more than 100% is usually through some sort of recruiting or referral type of incentive bonus. There are also entities out there where you can be invested in the company, and so if the company is profitable, you could get extra bonuses, things like that. Some of them are even publicly traded when we start talking about the largest names in real estate today. And there's a lot of legacy brands that have been around forever that are now owned by larger real estate companies, conglomerates really, that are very often technology driven. And so that is a big focus right now in the real estate industry. And if you are somebody that is currently in the real estate industry, you'll have noticed how much people like to talk about AI and how important that is. But at the end of the day, especially when you're starting out, AI could make it where you have easy access to information and even advice. Be careful with the advice that you get from AI. Sometimes it just makes stuff up. I caught it doing that just earlier today. But especially as you start to get an eye more for what makes sense, you get a better business understanding, it becomes a tool to help you rapidly scale your business, not just from getting advice, but from the automations that you're able to put into place. And automations aren't new to business. Email follow-ups, those go back to even the beginning days of the internet, or at least internet marketing. And so we're going to talk about a lot of things, from technology to leads to training to guidance and coaching to the culture, and so many different factors that play into your success at any one particular brokerage. And although today the big focus is on commission splits because it is really kind of the money that does drive anything, you could argue with that, but at the end of the day, money is what matters. And this is a lot of times what is most memorable to somebody about a brokerage is it a 100% operation? Is it where you get 90%? Is it where you get 80%? Is it where you get 70% or 60%? Or is it 50-50? Or if we're talking about a team with a team-generated lead, I mean, you might be all the way down here at 15% is what goes to you. And so before we dive further and compare any specific models, how do you justify this when this exists? And we could think of this in numbers as well. With you taking just 15% of the commission, it's highly structured, but it's not your structure. You're benefiting from that structure, but it's not your structure. From the lead generation, and chances are if it's this low, it's where they've already booked an appointment, you're just showing up, you're doing part of it, and then there's transaction managers that are maybe handling this through the end. There are brokerages out there that operate in this way. Again, it's a low commission split of what it is that you're able to get, but you're not expected to do much. You are, It's just across a lot of transactions, and you're working this small part of the deal, and there's other people working in the other parts of the deal, and so that's why that commission split could be so low. But this is ultimately a lot more guaranteed than pretty much any 100% brokerage that you go to. Now, the question is of what is it that you actually want from your real estate career? What do you want from your real estate career? Are you looking for a job or career? Or are you looking to run a business? Because there are pros and cons to both of these. And if we're really talking about jobs, if we're talking about maybe even a salary, which is going to have the lowest commission split if there is any opportunities out there that do have any sort of salary in mind. The reason why the commissions can be so high, especially even with a 100% commission structure, is because you are an independent contractor and because you are only making money when you do have a transaction, when you do have a closing. But there's definitely opportunities out there that include some sort of salary or hourly wage. Maybe you're working in an assistant capacity. Maybe you're working directly for a builder, a developer. These opportunities are much fewer than the independent contractor opportunities that are out there. And that's because, again, there is that guarantee. But with that guarantee comes the limitations. Whereas the business side is more limitless. And so this is where we've got to begin of what is it that you're looking for. And we're going to use this basic classification today of is this more like a job or career or is this more like a business? Because if we look at this right here, it's really how this scale works. If you want a business, then you may be a candidate for a 100% or at least a high commission split, because we'll also talk about transitioning as well. Transitioning from a lower split to a higher split. Sometimes organizations have some sort of built-in apprentice program. Sometimes they have an annual capping system. We're going to make sense out of all of this today, but it's going to break down back to this here. The ones that fall on this side are more of a job and of a career. The ones that fall on this side is more where you're building a business. And the expectations are going to be much more fitting of this. Because believe it or not, here, even with the lower percentage, there are going to typically be higher expectations. If you're anything really sub 50%, they're counting on you. They're counting on you more than anything to get this deal done. They have more of a vested interest than you when it's below 50%. And so if we look at who's making the most money, anytime it's below 50%, the other party has the most interest in getting the deal done. So really once you cross over this 50% number, that's if we really want to split the middle exactly. 50-50 would be right there in the middle of a job career type situation and a business situation. But you really don't start to see those effects, those higher expectations. Again, that's more when you're in a team environment, and that's going to be typically what you're going to be looking at here. Maybe it creeps up to like 60%, but especially if it is a larger team, especially if it is a more productive team, they don't need you. There's a lot of agents that are out there, and so believe it or not, these can actually even be more selective than over here. A 100% brokerage will typically take anybody, with some exceptions, depending on the brokerage's policies and whatnot. But that's usually more to behavior after the fact. You usually sign a contract at the beginning that says you're not going to do X, Y, and Z. And so for that reason, 100% brokerages, they're going to take almost anybody, but these ones down here are going to be more selective. Again, just like a job or a career would be. Anybody could start a business, but only certain candidates get hired for a job. And so again, going back to what is it that you want from your real estate career? Is it something that is more job career oriented, where there are people who are going to be more responsible than you? Because once you get below the 50%, who's more responsible for the deal? When you're above 50%, now granted, at any level, you want to take ownership if you're really trying to be a go-getter. And if you're taking ownership, that's what I would say is going to be falling more on the business side of the splits. Because now you as the associate have more ownership in the total commission. And so, yes, as the split goes lower here, because at 100%, while they'll take pretty much anyone, there's usually some sort of monthly fee or transaction fee or combination of both that you're paying in exchange for your license being there and whatever else that brokerage may provide. But with the 100% split option, this is going to be where you have 100% ownership of your commission, essentially, if that makes sense. Whereas here, we go to that 15% option there, and really even a referral fee can be higher than 15%. And that is an extreme example. But depending how much of that deal, how much of that pie chart, because with a team, let's talk about how that makeup might look. We'll do it as a pie chart. And so let's say that you're at a brokerage that would already be a 70-30 split. So there's our 70-30. Meaning you as the associate get 70%, the brokerage keeps 30%. So if that's the option for you as an individual agent, what would it mean for a team at that brokerage? Well, all things being the same, there's still that 30% that goes to the broker, and that leaves 70% left. Although my pies aren't exactly equal here, but let's pretend they're exactly the same for illustrative graphic purposes. Let's say that 20% of that, which is still less than the broker, goes to the team leader. Now, why would the team leader get 20% of your commission? Well, that's in exchange for what the team is providing you, the guidance, the coaching. There might be technology, tools, training even that's provided by the brokerage, but now there's maybe 20% of that that's now going to your team leader, which is less than what the broker is earning right here, and now you as the sales associate are getting 50%. Let's do another example here to make it fair with the broker's share, which would mean 30% to the broker, 30% to the team leader. That's now 60%, and so now that leaves a little bit larger share, 40% going to the associate. And so now to justify this, thinking of this from the perspective of the associate, the agent, the team member, who is only getting 40% of the total commission, what is it that you're getting in exchange for? So you can think of this both ways. This is a great exercise for somebody who's brand new to real estate to understand what's out there, but also for somebody who maybe is thinking about starting a team. Maybe somebody who is thinking about starting a brokerage. To understand, again, in the shoes of somebody brand new to real estate, why would I want only 40% of the commission when I could have 100%? You know, because we throw the 100% commission up there it is. 100% to the agent, not split at all. But why is it so small? Well, the idea is through the resources that the brokerage provides, you can do more business than what you'd be able to figure out on your own. With the team option here, through the resources, the combined resources of the brokerage and the team, you're going to be able to do not just more business than what you'd be able to do on your own, but with the brokerage resources as well. you'll get even more benefit from being on our team. And then this team over here, let's call this Team A. And then we've got Team B. And over here, a solo agent. These all look like equal size circles. But maybe this circle is bigger because maybe this is a bigger team. And maybe this is such a big team that the brokerage has a deal specifically with this team that says, okay, only 20% to the brokerage. Meaning that the team leader could get 30%. So they could offer their associates 50%. So now they're just as competitive as Team A over here. We'll call this one Team C. But maybe it started as Team B right here, and they weren't doing as much, and so that's why the circle got bigger, is because they're now doing more business. And because the volume of business that you drive is going to help you negotiate a larger commission. Even here, let's call this a solo new agent versus somebody that has developed a large book of business. Let's say this one solo experienced agent is doing more business than even these teams. And so for that, the broker says, you know what, we'll do it where only 15% goes to the broker. You get everything that we would have given normally. And so now you're going to go home with an extra 15% or 85%. But then let's say Team D comes along and they're really a behemoth. It's a solo agent. They've really figured out how to do even more. And so this team, the broker says, we'll do 10%. And now this team maybe, let's say, they're going to take 30% as well. And so they could offer out 60% to the agents. But the reality is that's probably not the case. Especially as the team gets larger, it's not going to usually continuously benefit the agent. If this is a small team, you might end up with a higher split where you are getting 50, maybe 60% of the commission. And again, maybe this is also a 100% brokerage. Because if we took out that broker split there, whether it's 10, 15, 20, or 30%, it's going to increase the amount available to both the agent and the team leader simultaneously. And so that's why you do see a lot of teams at 100% brokerages. Because we'll talk about the 100% brokerage option specifically of when that makes sense. Usually not when you're brand new starting out. Even if you have experience in another state, you might need some extra support when you're here getting your business set up in Florida. Maybe you don't. Maybe you are ready to go right from the get-go into a 100% brokerage operation. But for the typical new agent, a split model usually makes more sense, at least to begin their real estate career. So let's say the broker gives this team a sweet deal because they really want this team there. And they know they're a good team. They know they can even command a higher commission split right here. So let's say they are going to pay 35% out to their associates. At least their junior associates. They could have different split levels because maybe they have multi-tiers of experience levels on their team. Maybe new agents, more experienced agents, listing only, buying only. As you grow your business larger, you could build it into something like this here. So if 35% is going to the associate and 10% is going to the broker, that's 45% that's spoken for, which leaves 55% to the team. And maybe that does help cover administrative cost, overhead cost, because maybe they have transaction coordinators and so on and so forth that are expenses. Maybe they do a lot of advertising. Maybe this is on leads that you're provided, but you get an extra 10% or an extra 15%, whatever it may be, if this is your own lead. There's lots of different systems that are out there. If we were to really kind of sum these up side by side, of what to expect. And let's say we'll use that 15% option. Now, I don't know of any actual 15% teams, so we will specifically. So we're just going to be speaking in generals for a lot of these here, but this is probably going to be the most generalized out of all these here. We'll also cover the 100% option. Very popular. We'll do a 70-30 where you're getting 70% of the commission. And we'll do one more at, we'll say 40% of the commission. Just to pick some rough numbers, some tent poles in our differences between this very job-like versus a true business there on the 100% side. 70% business and training. And 40%, how do we classify this? Because this I would definitely say is job-like. That's a business and training. This is still pretty job-like. We'll call that one a job and this one job-like. On the scale of what is this going to feel like? So that's what we've got right there. What is it going to feel like? For both better and worse, 100% will feel like a business. 70%, it's a business in training. It's still basically a business, but there is going to be a lot more support in a 70-30 type of commission split than you would have in a 100% commission split. And I don't mean support just in terms of help, but support resources, websites, trainings, marketing. Maybe not lead generation. Over here at 40%, that's maybe where you're getting good quality, consistent leads. Over here, you're probably getting appointments as opposed to leads. Over here, you get lead list. Over here at 100%, maybe some lead gen training. And that's a maybe, because the 100% brokerages, they can vary. There are some really great, strong 100% brokerage options that are out there. And the thing is, even if your brokerage doesn't provide lead generation training, there is lead generation training out there. There's lead generation services that are out there, but the lead generation is going to be basically on your own. Versus 70%, now there might be some leads. Maybe you get the opportunity to do some sort of like desk duty in the office or something for somebody that walks in. But if you want leads to be given to you, leads of people saying, I'm ready to buy a house, I'm ready to sell a house, expect that to be in the 40 to maybe 50% range of commission splits. And if you want appointments done for you, set like, hey, I go show up, you've already warmed them up, they already believe in the company, the organization, the brand, the team, and then you're also going to follow up with them after I leave. Again, most like a job, because you want appointments set for you. Well, that's going to typically, again, cost the most. Now, over here, because this is like a job, it is going to be, again, selective. And even over here, going across, it could still be selective, but that selective kind of fades out as we get to the 100%. Anybody basically could join at a 100% brokerage as long as they meet the terms, conditions, the requirements of that brokerage. And they agree to the policies and follow the policies. You just have no reason being able to join that 100% brokerage. 70%, that could be to a certain degree selective, because especially if there is anything additional that the brokerage has to put in for helping you, for bringing you on, for onboarding you, for training you, they could be a little bit selective even in that 70% capacity. 40, 50%, chances are they are going to be selective, because especially once we're down at 40%, where you're only getting 40% of the commission, 60% of that commission is retained by the brokerage or the team otherwise. And so they have more ownership in the deal than you. Now, you could still be the single largest shareholder in the deal, because maybe the brokerage is getting 30 and the team leader is getting another 30, 30, that's 60. So collectively, they represent a larger share of the ownership of the deal, but you still are the largest single because you have 40 and they just have 30 and 30. At 15%, that's 85% of the commission goes to other people than you. The broker, the team leader, transaction coordinators, administrative staff, marketing expenses, phone systems, whatever it may be that team offers. That is one way that they're able to cover those costs, especially as it's a producing team. If you're brand new, if you're just starting out, it's hard to justify these commission splits in terms of actual trackable revenue for your business, because this relies on the transactions happening. And especially down here, there has to be a lot of transactions for this to make sense. Because you can't just have one deal that you show up to and earn 15%. You can't really make a living off of that. So thinking of this, if you're a team leader watching this and trying to figure out how do you structure your compensation plans, how do you make it competitive, this gives you a good overview of the landscape of what's out there and what's to be expected. What's realistic at these different levels. Across the board, there typically can be some sort of technology, but in the 100% option, any technology you're getting is probably not the finest and best technology that exists, just because it can be expensive. Now, that may be fine for you. Maybe whatever tools the 100% brokerage provides, if they do provide any at all, but assuming they do, they probably serve the purpose good enough to be able to say they do. But again, are there better tools out there? Most likely. Are there reasons that you need that? Sure. But do you actually need it? Especially if you're brand new. Now, the thing is, if you're brand new, this would be the last option I really recommend. If you're brand new, this is probably your best bet. Starting here, maybe 40%, that'd be where I'd probably put. I wouldn't really judge which you're going to choose just by commission alone, but that's probably where I put the hard stop, at least if it were me. And really, more specifically, if you want to grow on this journey to 100%. If you want to eventually someday run your own real estate business, I wouldn't start in this right here. Unless you do have this opportunity available to you and it does make sense and it maybe is something that you want to do temporarily before you do transition into something like this here. Because it could get you some good experience, maybe some people skills, customer service skills, some sales skills. But if you're already coming to the table with people skills, with customer service skills, with sales skills, but maybe not lead generation skills, that's where you're maybe looking for something like this here, where you could get a steady flow of leads. Because in exchange for, now you got to be able to produce, because whoever's providing these leads, whoever's paying for these leads, regardless of what level you're at here, maybe you go find a lender or a title company to co-market with. If the other business, the other party that's co-marketing with you is not making any money off of this advertisement, because they're not getting any deals, they're not getting any leads. Maybe they are, they're not panning out. Maybe you're a big part of that puzzle too, of serving this client and then bringing them when they're ready for, like, say, a loan or a title or something like that. So if you can't produce, these co-marketing opportunities will run out, because they're not going to keep investing if they don't ever get anything back in their business. If they don't have any return on this investment it is that they're making, they'll either just stop making that investment altogether or find somewhere else to invest. Now, Maybe you do join a brokerage that's got a 70% commission split. It won't provide usually direct leads at that 70% commission, but you could usually get maybe some lead list, maybe for sale by owners, expired listings with the phone numbers and details and everything like that. But if you want actual generated leads, whether it's coming from a website, from the broker itself, maybe you're adding another service. So maybe you do have a 70-30 split, something like that, and you found a referral service that they take 20% of the commission in the end in exchange for leads. And there's companies that are out there that are licensed as brokers, because they do have to be to earn this as a referral fee. But because they're licensed as a broker, rather than you paying money up front for the leads, you pay on the back end. And if this is some sort of service, usually there is some sort of upfront fee to it as well. And a lot of times if it's a service, they charge an upfront fee for these referral services, even though they're also going to charge a referral fee on the back end, because they do want to find people who are actually serious. They can now help lower that referral fee, because 25% is a more standard referral fee. So say it's 20%. And that's because maybe you did pay $1,000 up front, or $1,500, or I've seen some that are even a few $1,000s that you pay up front, but with one deal, it quickly pays for that. Now, if you're brand new, I would still be skeptical of a situation like that, and anything where you're paying any sort of money, especially thousands of dollars, without any guarantee of what's going to actually happen for you. But that's going to be kind of regardless of where you fall on here. This, I would say, is the most guaranteed, but it's still not guaranteed. And even at the most, it's 15%, even though it's the most guaranteed. And again, this is going to be the most selective as well. I'm really making a hard pitch here for the lowest commission option, and that's because it is a hard pitch. It is a hard choice. It's a tough choice, but it can be rewarding. Because again, instead of you making calls to generate appointments, you have those appointments done for you. And there's also services that are out there that, again, can do this. They could set appointments for you. There's services out there that could handle the back end. That's more what you're doing here on the business side of things. You could hire a transaction coordinator. You could hire an appointment setter. You could build your own real estate team. And if you are building a real estate team, that probably makes the most sense to do at a 100% brokerage, because what you get provided from that 100% brokerage is probably sufficient for the needs of what it is that you need to run your team. Maybe not. Maybe there is something at that 70-30 brokerage that in exchange for whatever percentage of the commission you've agreed to with that broker on your team split there, that what you're getting from that broker in exchange for them is worth it. Maybe it's a lower monthly fee. Maybe it's a different technology. Maybe it's websites. It could be a lot of different things. And on top of this, the way that we exceed that 100% plus is really one way. And that's through recruiting other agents. So if there's any model out there that says you could earn this much, but you can earn more, because there's typically recruiting models even at 70-30 brokerage and across the board here. There's a lot of times recruiting incentive, and that's a way that you can make money while not actually closing a transaction yourself. Now, there are people out there that do just this, that maybe are just recruiters for a brokerage. And that's all they do. They don't actually sell real estate themselves. And that's okay, as long as that recruiter isn't necessarily the one that is responsible for teaching you how to sell real estate. Because if they don't know how to sell real estate, if they're recruiting you for somebody else that could help you sell, or maybe they're recruiting you to the 100% and say, yeah, come join us here, and you've got this figured out, so you can do it here too. Because they usually have a much better sounding pitch than that. That's essentially what the pitch is at a 100% brokerage, of why pay more? Why pay more when you could have 100% commission? Great question. Why would you pay more? And if you have a valid reason of why would you pay more than 0% basically for your brokerage, why would you pay more? Why wouldn't you want the 100%? If there is a valid answer, then yes, that checks the box for why you're where you are. But if you feel like maybe you already have your own website, your own CRM database, your own training that you go to, maybe you go to some boot camps, workshops, retreats. There's tons of real estate training. You don't have to rely upon your broker for real estate training. But especially when you're brand new, having some sort of packaged jumpstart, I'm a new agent, what do I do, boot camp, masterclass, something like that, where it's not just one training, but a series of trainings that are designed to teach you the ropes, the basics that you need to know to build your real estate business. And typically you're going to find something like that more so in this range. Not really at the team, because this, you're not really learning how to build your own real estate business. Over here, you're learning how to build your own thing, how to hunt for yourself. Now over here, you're provided leads. But even when you're providing leads and it's at this 50-50 type of level of commission split where you're getting 50%, the broker's retaining 50%, or maybe some portion of that because part of it's the referral company and part of it's the broker, whatever the split may be, that's still usually going to not be the amount of leads it is that you want if you really want to build something bigger than yourself, if you want to build something grand, if you want to have more leads than knowing what to do with. Even at 50%, I wouldn't rely upon your broker for having more leads than you know what to do with. If you want to have more leads than you know what to do with, you're going to need lead generation training. And so that's why lead generation training is usually going to be across the board at any of these from like this 40 to 50% range on up. You drop below that, you're below 40, 50%. That's much more, again, where this is like a job. But the benefit of that job is you don't have to be the one calling. Maybe that is the position they're hiring for you, is the appointment setter. Or maybe you're the one who already has the appointments. Because an appointment setter can be paid hourly because they're not doing any real estate services. So they don't have to be licensed. But the person going on that appointment does have to be licensed. And because they are licensed, they can be paid a commission. And so again, if you're looking for appointments, just understand that that's going to be the lowest commission split. There is going to be training, but the training is going to be related on how to excel in that appointment. And the rest of it, just leave it up to the rest of the team. You're trained on what you need to know. So, if you feel like you don't have a capacity to, if this is all brand new to you, maybe you haven't worked in a customer service role or a sales role or whatever it may be, or maybe you have, and you're looking to really just focus on that one thing. You don't want the hassles and headaches of running your whole own business. You just want to make a good living, better maybe than what you're doing now, maybe more enjoyable than what you're doing now. Maybe this makes sense. If you're looking to build a business, this would be the lowest entry level, but I do see most agents usually around 70% is where they get started. Maybe on the higher end, like 80%, but you want the brokerage, the team leader, whoever it may be, to have a vested interest in you actually closing deals. At the 100% level, now they maybe do earn some sort of transaction fee per deal. And so, yes, they still want you to close deals, but not as badly as the broker that's going to get 30% of the commission, or 40% of the commission, or even 60% of the commission. When they have that level of interest, they're going to be very aligned with you. They'll be able to provide you more resources because they'll be able to afford more resources because of what it is that you're getting. Now, the recruiting incentives can be paid many different ways, from as simply as you earning an override, an extra percentage of the commission, just like we kind of talked about there, the split going to the team leader. Maybe there's a portion of that split. Maybe that's what's coming out of the broker's share of these pies right here, is maybe 5% of that, or maybe even 10% of that is going to the agent who referred that agent in. Maybe that's the recruiting incentive. So it could be referrals. It could be stocks. It could be bonuses. Bonus payout type of thing. quarterly, monthly, annually, semi-annually. It depends. And so all of this information, specifically as it relates to the compensation, is going to be provided in the compensation agreement, the independent contractor agreement that you would have from that brokerage. You'll have those details in there, and you'll be able to review them and look through them and really understand. And again, with the power of AI, one of the things that it's great at is explaining things, helping you learn new things, helping you make sense of things. So you could read it, you could use these different tools to help analyze it and make sense of it. But hopefully, after what we've gone through today, you better understand this spectrum of commission splits. From the job and career side to the running your own business 100% side. And the different expectations both you and your broker will have depending at where the commission split is on this. Now, if you have any questions about this, about anything we talked about today, about your real estate career, your continuing education, your post-licensing, maybe getting your real estate license if you don't yet have one. This phone number, call us up anytime, day or night, 813-333-2676. Again, that's 813-333-2676. If you want to actually meet brokers in person, multiple brokers in one place, one stop, Saturday, August 29th, the Florida Real Estate Career Fair returns right here to Tampa, Florida. FloridaRealEstateCareerFair.com for the full details. You don't want to miss this event. It's a free event, but you got to register at FloridaRealEstateCareerFair.com. The Career Fair is just one of the many different brands here at the Tampa School of Real Estate serving Florida real estate professionals. Real Estate Pro University is phenomenal training for agents at any stage of their real estate career, but especially for brand new agents. And so that's something that's available any brokerage you go to. And there's even some brokerages at the Career Fair that do provide Real Estate Pro University to their agents when you join with them. Now, if you don't yet have your real estate license, we have the most options in the state of Florida to get your license, from live in-person classes to live online to video on demand, where we take that instructor-led experience and bottle it up to on-demand video lessons you can do anytime, any place, anywhere, even with offline mode. And we also have a text-based online course as well. But to get started with our most popular program, the video on-demand program that you can start right now, it includes the textbook that'll be shipped to your door, realestateonlinecourse.com. That's realestateonlinecourse.com. 24/7, 365 access with this, and you can even do this on a monthly basis. So if you would rather just subscribe to this on a monthly program rather than buying this outright for 12 months, you can do that starting at just $47 per month. So any questions about that, again, you can call us up at 813-333-2676 or register right now online at realestateonlinecourse.com. And at that website, you'll also be able to see what we call our complete Jumpstart bundle, which is going to include all three of these courses here. The pre-licensing course, which is required to earn your license. The exam prep tools, which are optional, but help you simplify the exam preparation so you could pass the exam as quickly as possible, maintain the momentum, immediately move into the first renewal course. Now, you're maybe not thinking renewal courses right away when you first get your license, but this course is essential because not only does it satisfy your renewal, more importantly, it helps break down the real estate business. So this would be a huge thing to do before you choose to sign with any brokerage, because in addition to commission splits, it dives a lot deeper in there to building out your real estate business. And so you better understand what you may need from a broker as a brand new real estate agent. The Career Fair, again, the next one coming up Saturday, August 29th. And again, Real Estate Pro University to help advance and scale your real estate career. A real estate career allows for unlimited income potential, schedule flexibility, part-time as well as full-time opportunities. You get to be your own boss, especially in that 100% type of commission role that gives you so much autonomy and authority that you don't find in most ways of making a living today. Lots of new opportunities that are available when you do have that real estate license, including referral for the super part-time, having your real estate license and really not using it other than just to sit back and earn referral fees from when you refer commission, because you could take those referrals as somebody that's trying to earn deals, or you could make those referrals by, if you're somebody who has a contact, but you don't necessarily have the means or the time to actually assist them with the transaction, you could connect them. And not just here in Florida, anywhere in the world, really. Anywhere in the country, you have somebody in another state that's moving, you just get them connected with the local real estate professionals, sign a one-page agreement with them, give them the contact information, make the introduction, and then when the transaction closes, you get that agreed upon referral fee, typically like 25% of the commission. That's the value of a lead. It's negotiable, but 25%, that is a pretty good rough estimate for the going rate, if there's a going rate, for what a lead is worth. Maybe more if it's more teed up, ready to go. Maybe you're a better negotiator. Maybe it's not really worth that because there's no price fixing, etc. But 25% is a pretty typical ask for a referral fee. And there's also extremely low barrier to entry. So if you're interested in a real estate career, that complete Jumpstart bundle is going to get you all the courses that you need. Come out to the career fair on August 29th to meet several brokers. And especially if you have this course done by then, it's going to make a lot more sense of what you need from the brokerage. And then utilize the courses in Real Estate Pro University to learn the contracts, to learn about financing, to learn the lead generation, and put those learnings into action. realestateonlinecourse.com to get started today, earning your real estate license. If you do have any questions, that phone number is 813-333-2676. Join the community of over 70,000 TSRE alumni who have advanced their real estate careers, their Florida real estate careers. Career Fair Saturday, August 29th coming up, 813-333-2676. It's about all the time that we've got for today. I want to thank you all for tuning in to today's episode. If you have questions, if there's something you're hoping to better understand, to learn, put that in the comments so we can make a future video about it. We could go live. We could have future Q&As. So again, drop that in the comments. We do love seeing those and seeing what you want to learn more about. Until then, have a great rest of your Friday. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you next week for Ask the Instructor.